Good afternoon, Euromaidan press listeners and viewers. Joining me now is Daria Kaleniuk, Executive Director of the Anti-Corruption Action Center in Kyiv. Daria co-founded this organization back in 2012 during Viktor Yanukovych's presidency, and she's been on the front lines of Ukraine's anti-corruption fight ever since. You might remember her from that viral moment in March 2022 when she confronted British Prime Minister Boris Johnson at a press conference in Warsaw demanding to know why Russian oligarchs like Roman Abramovich were not being sanctioned and why NATO would not establish a fly zone over Ukraine. But her main work has been building the institutions that Ukraine just dismantled. After Euromaidan, she helped Ukraine's parliament design the laws that created NABU, the National Anti-Corruption Bureau, and SAPO, the Specialist Prosecutor's Office. Her organization launched the Yanukovych info website in December 2013 that tracked Viktor Yanukovych's foreign assets so European countries could freeze them. Over the past decade, she's fought similar battles under 3 different Ukrainian presidents and worked internationally to track Russian oligarch money. She's a World Economic Forum Young Global Leader and testified before the U.S. Helsinki Commission in April 2022 about the connection between Russia's invasion and Ukraine's anti-corruption reforms. Daria joins us now from Kyiv as Ukraine grapples with what many are calling the biggest rollback of democratic institutions since 2014. So Daria, welcome. Ukraine's parliament just passed a law putting all corruption investigations under one politically appointed prosecutor. Ukrainian activists like you are calling this a return to Yanukovych's times. What does that comparison mean?
It means that there will be prosecutor general, in our case his name is Ruslan Kravchenko, who will control all investigations against top officials in the country. So basically he will have access to all cases of independent agency of NABU and SaPo. He will be able to stop these cases. He will be able to give orders how to investigate or not investigate these cases. He will be able to change prosecutors, and finally he could take cases outside of NABU and give it to other agencies. So it returns back the complete control of prosecutor general, who is 100% loyal to the president, over justice in Ukraine. And this is exactly what we were trying to build, to go away since Revolution of Dignity. In the Yanukovych period, this is the former president of Ukraine, pro-Russian president, who refused to sign a EU association agreement, and that triggered huge rallies and protests in Ukraine. In his era, he had prosecutor general whose name was Viktor Pshonka, and that there were no anti-corruption bodies in Ukraine, and that Viktor Pshonka was safeguarding the business and monopolies for Yanukovych and his associates. There was so-called their family, close family and friends of Yanukovych, who were receiving all the control of the most lucrative businesses in the country. And no one could investigate them because it was prosecutor general who was making sure that they are untouchable. And we are coming back to the era of untouchables in Ukraine. When, if you are a friend of president, a family member, a loyal to Zelenskyy, you will be untouchable. You will have access to lucrative contracts, especially in the defense sector. This is where actually the most of the money of Ukrainian taxpayers are being spent. And you can steal, siphon this money, you can commit fraud, you can produce equipment which is not good, not deliver this on time. And anyway, there will be no justice, you will be untouchable. So that is the future which Zelenskyy introduced today for Ukraine and for Ukrainians, which absolutely contradicts to the aspirations of our people in our country. And this is the Yanukovych moment for Zelenskyy. And we've been building these institutions and organizations for the last 10 years after the Revolution of Dignity. We built them because there was hunger for justice in Ukraine. And when Yanukovych didn't satisfy that hunger for justice, people had to step in and to say what they think. And what would that mean also for our Euro-Atlantic aspirations is horrible, because we've been reporting developments in NABU and SaPo to all the international partners for these 10 years as our progress towards building good governance, rule of law, getting closer to the EU. You know, that the EU aspirations among Ukrainians, it's more than 80% of Ukrainians support that, now probably more than 90%. And now, you know, all those EU accession developments, money granted from the EU through Ukraine facility in exchange of the reforms, IMF loans, they are in big danger, because all the fundamentals on which these programs were built are now being destroyed, intentionally or unintentionally, by Zelenskyy and his associates, just because they want to protect, you know, protect the family members and close businesses from being investigated by NABU and SAPO. And simultaneously to that, there is huge crackdown on signing, shutting up watchdog organizations, including our organization. There was this absurd charges against Vitaly Shabunin, just that he served in the army in the wrong way, received salary or remuneration, and that's a big fraud, and military avoidance service. We expect more charges against Vitaly in order to silence him. And then there will be follow-on crackdown on Anti-Corruption Action Center, which is the most vocal critic, and we are exposing wrongdoings. You know, we are naming things like they are, and we are naming the names. That was the key value on which we were founded in Anti-Corruption Action Center. We named the names. And we built institutions which are able to investigate and prosecute and punish for corruption. And Zelenskyy and Yermak, they want to silence us. They will try to develop various criminal charges like state treason, and basically you're a state treasoner in Ukraine. This is what Zelenskyy and Yermak want to do when you're saying the truth. And this is not the country and the form of ruling the country for which Ukrainian people are fighting with Russian aggression. This is actually what we are fighting against, because Russia wants to suppress freedom of speech, independent thinking, criticism of the authorities. And this is how Russia has been built. Ukraine is not Russia. Ukraine is not Belarus, and Ukraine will not follow Georgia's scenario. The democracy is very deep in the veins of the people of Ukraine. So all those heroes of Ukraine, which are fallen heroes, they were fighting for completely different Ukraine that Zelenskyy is now trying to build, where there is a freedom, dignity, and where there is justice with the rule of law. And all those other soldiers and our brave armed forces which are fighting, they also not fighting for the oppression and for the country which has been ruled by the oppression. They really want a safe place to return back after the victory, where they can be treated under justice. And when Zelenskyy is trying to oppress all of that, he is crossing many red lines inside Ukrainian society, which means that there might be a very huge explosion. It might be very dangerous for the country. But when he is silencing up independent media, watchdog organizations, we are taking this criticism and aspirations from inside Ukrainian society and redirecting them in a constructive mode. We are saying what has to be changed, what has to be fixed. So now, to stop all that shit, and prevent escalation with explosion from inside Ukrainian society, Zelenskyy must stop this law. I'm hearing that he already signed that. Okay, if he signed that, he has to withdraw his signature or do whatever else. But the law should not be the law. He has to fix it. He has the power to do this. And this must be the demand of Ukrainian people. And this is the demand of Ukrainian people. I'm just seeing in Facebook, in different chats, that the people are outraged and they want to go for the rallies. Rallies are forbidden during the martial law, and that rallies could actually escalate to some bad things. And Russia is watching, and Russia will definitely try to use that explosive moment inside Ukrainian society to undermine us from inside. So I would want to say that all those who invented this crazy attack on anti-corruption bodies and anti-corruption watchdog organizations, they are either intentionally or non-intentionally helping Kremlin to win this war from inside Ukraine.
So you've been doing this work since 2012 through 3 different presidents. What's the common pattern when leaders try to capture such institutions? And how does this moment feel different?
It is the start of their end. Agony. This, in the case of Zelenskyy, it's much more complicated because we are simultaneously fighting the horrible large-scale war. Makes things very complicated. If there was no large-scale war, Zelenskyy and his parliament and his government would not have been in power anymore. Unfortunately, I am afraid that for Zelenskyy and Yermak, the only strategy in this war is, and the only strategy for the country they are thinking about is how to maintain in power. And that causes them to do some, steps to roll back the reforms and dismantle democracy in Ukraine, because they understand that they cannot win in the democratic elections. It smells like they feel that there are going to be elections. I don't know why, because there are no basically grounds for the ceasefire, but all these crackdowns, they are related to this fear of not being in power for longer. How to stay in power, get rid of all these watchdog organizations, which are naming the names and saying the truth. They are state prisoners. Get rid of independent media. We can sanction media owners to shut down media like Ukrainska Pravda, Novaya Vremya. This is their plan. This is the next step. Intimidate individual watchdog activists and journalists. Then destroy possible political opponents, and there is big trust to the armed forces of Ukraine. Therefore, the State Bureau of Investigations will further attack all the military commanders which are recognizable, which basically they have trust of the people of Ukraine. On the case of the Shabunin, Zelenskyy and Yermak showed that they can use their inquisitory instrument called State Bureau of Investigations to destroy any person which serves in the military.
Right. So it's ironic that Zelenskyy campaigned as the anti-corruption outsider when he ran for president in 2019. Now he's presiding over dismantling the very institutions that were built to fulfill these promises. So why do you think he made this turn? Why is all of this happening now? And doesn't he understand that this is suicidal?
I think he needs to thank for Mr. Andrei Yermak, who is a very good advisor to him and advises him how to move on with cracking down institutions. And Mr. Yermak controls 90% of information flow to Zelenskyy, shapes his mind, and helps him to appoint very loyal managers. Andrei Yermak appointed Prosecutor General Ruslan Kravchenko, basically suggested as a very, very good perspective pshonka for Zelenskyy. Well, by pshonka, I mean the prosecutor who is in your own pocket, right? Either intentionally or non-intentionally, Andrei Yermak is doing big favor for Kremlin. And he's doing big damage for Zelenskyy. And Zelenskyy, I don't know, he might be defrauded. We might argue he doesn't understand, or he's too busy, he's very tired, blah, blah, blah. But he's not coping with this role of the leader of the country, which fills the mood of the people of Ukraine. And if he entrusted so much power into the hands of Andrei Yermak, Oleg Tatarov, guys who are against democracy, against basic, fundamental freedoms, checks and balance, system of checks and balances, it is his view of the society. Yeah, if he wants, he was campaigning in Sluha Narodu, servant of the people, movie against Untouchables. He created himself Untouchables inside his circle. So he became now basically the hero against which he was campaigning. That's I don't know. That's life.
Yeah. Okay, so could you give us a little bit more context about what the National Anti-Corruption Bureau and specialized anti-corruption prosecutors or agency, what have these organizations accomplished that is now at risk?
Anti-Corruption Bureau and Special Anti-Corruption Prosecution Office have charged dozens of people, hundreds actually of people which are at high-level positions. And they are tackling cases which are critical in different sectors. Just this year, there were charges in the defense sector, for example, in the procurement of the food. There were charges against Kyiv state officials in the land schemes. There were charges against Alexei Chernyshov, the former vice prime minister, a close friend, family member of Zelenskyy. And as far as I understand, NABU also looked very deeply into the defense contracts, and this is what Zelenskyy didn't like. And this is what triggered the reaction of our president with such horrible results for these institutions and for the entire country and for President Zelenskyy himself. NAB and SaPo are investigating judges, prosecutors, even the members of the intelligence services, security service. There were a few cases just recently. In these cases, these cases are being happening when there is large-scale war is ongoing, and we've been using, and including myself, since 2022, these as a powerful argument to advocate for more weapons and more support for Ukraine, for speed track European integration, for more weapons, for Danish model, for sending money in Ukraine to procure weapons in Ukraine. But now we are groundless. I can't use this argument anymore. That is, I think that Kremlin now celebrates. These are the arguments and narratives they have tried to spread through their propaganda PR people all across the world, with the focus on the US, that Ukraine is absolutely corrupt, that Zelenskyy is autocratic leader, that he oppresses opposition, silence up those who criticize him. And about a month or 2 months ago, I was defending Zelenskyy, saying that it's wrong. When Trump was saying that Zelenskyy is a dictator, I wrote a series of pieces, including I've done interviews saying that actually there is the system of checks and balances in Ukraine. These anti-corruption institutions are working. Now, I can't say anything. Now, it's basically Yermak and others, and Zelenskyy himself, and all these MPs who were voting for this law, they have created the beautiful arguments for Kremlin to make Ukraine the country which is not worth of support. And I hope that our international partners will keep supporting Ukraine with military assistance. It's critical for our armed forces who are now dying defending Ukraine. But clearly Russia will use it to discredit this support for Ukraine.
The government says that this is about national security after finding Russian spies in NABU, but you're saying it's about protecting corrupt officials. How do we know who's right? The government says that this is about national security after finding Russian spies in NABU. You're saying that it's about protecting corrupt officials. How do we know who's right?
It's very simple. Security Service of Ukraine, Prosecutor General Office, and State Bureau of Investigations conducted simultaneously 80 searches in more than 15 detectives and their family members. They have done that without court warrants, and they say it's a special operation to unveil Russian spies. So far, we see only 2 cases where there were notices of suspicion announced, and today we had our lawyers who attended court hearings at the pretrial measures which were discussed there. All other cases are not related to actually cooperating with Russia. These are cases related to car accidents which have happened many years ago, some other crazy cases. And even these charges, which are related to security, they are really, I wouldn't expect them. I wouldn't see that these are extraordinary cases where there is clearly damaged big security. One of the NABU workers allegedly was selling konopля, how to say that, was selling cannabis to Dagestan or Uzbekistan through some relatives which have Russian citizenship. Another one allegedly was somehow many years ago providing data information to former security service officer during the Yanukovych period of time. So I don't say that there cannot be Russian spies in NABU. There can be Russian spies anywhere in any institutions in Ukraine, but 80 searches, and I would expect to have really landmark cases, extraordinary cases, and we don't see them like that. And simultaneously with all these cases, security service is conducting verification of how SAPO is handling state secrecy. So they've got access to all state secrecy information, which basically means information about investigations which are pending. These are whistleblowers. These are agents which cooperate with NABU and provide information, all other operative information. So they have already accessed files and they see where NABU is looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And accidentally with that, the next day, we are having this law coming from President Zelenskyy, which is empowering Prosecutor General and gives all the rights to control whenever NABU moves and breathes. So clearly it's not the accident. Moreover, we've been alerted by our sources about 2 weeks in advance that this is the plan to get control over NAB and SaPo. And for that particular reason, Prosecutor General Ruslan Kravchenko was appointed. He's directly receiving orders from Andrei Yermak and reporting to him. And he's executing the will of President Zelenskyy, who is pissed off that NABU and SaPo are investigating his close associates like Alexei Chernyshov, and gave the order, and they are looking how to implement this order to do something with NABU and SaPo. So, and they have done something with NABU and SaPo, just demolished them.
Mm-hmm. So the timing seems strategic. It's wartime, no elections, weakened opposition. Was this the perfect moment to make the move?
It is the perfect moment to make the move because also our European partners are on vacations, drinking prosecco and enjoying lifetime in summer on the seaside. Well, I'm joking, obviously, but that's also the important moment how to mobilize proper reaction of our European partners because there are vacations. But in overall, I think that all this attack is strategically important for Kremlin and it plays in their hands. And if they are trying to accuse us, Vitaly Shabunin, myself, other organizations for state treason, they have to look at themselves, how they are creating actually the reasons and the grounds and the arguments for Kremlin to attack Ukraine internationally, and they don't need to invent anything. Now the narratives are being created, the facts are being created by Zelenskyy and his vassals.
So what concretely happens now? If there's a $1 billion corruption case tomorrow, who investigates it?
Prosecutor General is controlling that case. NABU can investigate that, but there will be just the name NABU. The substance of NABU, having the really truly independent agency with the supervision of the specialized corruption prosecution office will be over. It means that it will be just one person, Kravchenko, which goes to another person, Yermak, and they agree, okay, should we investigate this 1 billion case or not? Oh, probably we will not investigate that, but then we will ask this producer of military equipment to give us 10% bribe. Oh, let's do that in a way that we just introduce our affiliated companies to become the co-owners of this producer, and then we will not investigate anything. Everybody is happy and we are happy. We are building the new oligarchs in Ukraine. I think this is thinking something like that, which is happening inside the office of president and all those who are designing the scheme.
Okay. So what does this all mean for Ukraine's Euro integration prospects?
It gets us back into 10 years, and I have deja vu of November 2013, when Yanukovych refused to sign EU association agreement and in such a way told to the people of Ukraine, I don't care what you think and what you want. As I have told, that establishment of these institutions, it was written in all the documents related to the EU accession and IMF loans and visa liberalization. So if you just null these agencies, you can't take these institutions from these documents. It means that these are obligations of Ukraine which are nulled. It means that all the progress will be nulled as well. And how to repair that, it's a big question. It's just impossible to repair it overnight because the penetration of the NAB and SaPo is already done. And the parliament which voted for this trash today, they were so happy. They were congratulating themselves. Folks like Maxim Buzhansky from Servant of the People, the pro-Russian guy, was celebrating jointly with Yulia Tymoshenko, who is spreading the same messages as Vladimir Putin was spreading in early February 2022, before he was invading Ukraine. He was saying that Ukraine is losing sovereignty to foreign partners, establishing all these anti-corruption institutions with foreign experts, selecting leaders. And for that, Ukraine needs to be liberated. And this is how Vladimir Putin started the large-scale war. And where we are now, our members of parliament are saying the same, what Vladimir Putin was saying. Are they nuts? Did they miss the country where they work and the people whom they serve? Probably they have just quit their work and go directly to Russia and work there.
Okay, so what has the international response been to these developments? And is it the kind of reaction you expected?
This response was very slow. This escalation could have been prevented if before the URC Ukraine Reform Conference, when the Cabinet of Ministers bluntly violated the law and didn't appoint a Director of Bureau of Economic Security, if the URC leaders were clearly and bluntly saying that it's unacceptable to Zelenskyy and wouldn't avoid any public statements. But no one wanted to spoil URC. That was such a beautiful conference. Everybody was happy. Everybody was congratulating everybody about the reforms. So, and at the end of URC, as there was no reaction, there was these searches in Vitaly Shabunin without court warrants, with all these absurd accusations. And where did we see the reaction of international partners? No, everybody was waiting. Oh, let's see how it's going to develop. Red lines were crossed before Yermak Zelenskyy tested. No reaction. Everybody doesn't care about corruption, rule of law anymore. So we are the bosses in our home. We decide what we're going to do. We don't care about all of your reforms. This is the approach which was basically breeded by the self-censorship of our international partners.
Daria, thank you very much. Let's hope that President Zelenskyy will still has time to roll back this law. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.